Well, here's a building that local people hoped would have changed dramatically across the years. It's the so-called temporary building housing the town's library. 40 years ago, the library was set up in portacabins with the promise that a permanent library would be set up eventually. Of course, the evidence speaks for itself. There is a growing feeling amongst local people that the town now deserves a permanent building in which to house the town's library service. Well, this location features in our next set of pictures. In fact, Regent Circus is one of those areas of the town that's certainly seen its fair share of changes. See if you can spot those familiar locations and the changes that have taken place. With the help of the Swindon Society, we're stepping back in time to Swindon of yesteryear. A selection of images then and now from around the town. A familiar building to Swindonians, the town hall with its four-faced clock. This 1950s view is of the rear of the building, showing an area originally used for parking. Today the library occupies this side. The trees still stand around it. Once again, this is a part of the town that has witnessed an incredible increase in the amount of traffic. This 1960s view shows the town's head post office. It also shows traffic flying before pedestrianisation and before the road was widened. The building to the left behind the trees provides us with a focal point. When the Wyvern Theatre was built and Theatre Square created, the post office was moved to a new site. This picture, taken in 1953, shows decorations at the rear of the town hall for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. Look closely at the chimney pots of the town hall as they disappear in an age of central heating. The modern view shows what was supposed to have been a temporary library building. The talk still continues on finding a new home for the town's library service. Well, this must rate as the most sorely missed building in Swindon. A 1973 view of the Baptist Tabernacle. It was built in 1886 and became a victim of the town's modernisation. The building to the left is the focal point for our view, taken 23 years later. And from a slightly different location because of the trees that have now grown. It shows the Pilgrim Centre that now stands on this side. Regent Circus is the location for the town's cenotaph, a memorial for those that gave up their lives for their country. It was erected in 1920 in what was the middle of the road. Our view some 70 years later shows the cenotaph unchanged. The pedestrianisation of the area has played a major part in securing its safety from road traffic. Recently, railings were erected around it. Remembering the Swindon of yesteryear, with the help of the Swindon Society, a glimpse of Swindon through the years. Well, let's move on to our next selection of pictures, and arguably the most important street in the town. For generations, Swindonians have been coming here to Regent Street to do their shopping. Many people were saddened with the closure of the town's original department store. The McIlroys name is familiar to generations of Swindon shoppers, but trends and attitudes to shopping have also changed, and the store was unable to compete with new shopping outlets. Well, the town centre's undergone some pretty dramatic changes through the years. Roads, streets and businesses have all disappeared, but throughout it all, Regent Street continues to be the heart of the town. With the help of the Swindon Society, we're stepping back in time to Swindon of yesteryear. A selection of images then and now from around the town. We head back to 1902. This is number 4 and 5 Regent Circus. Anywhere offered complete house furnishings, sewing machines, jewellery and musical instruments. The original building was demolished and a new one erected in its place. The windows to the left of Aware provide the reference point for today's picture. The Co-op Bank stands on the exact side. Once again, the established trees in the area prevent the original angle to be copied accurately. The year is 1955, and we're in Regent Street looking at the Rifleman's Hotel and the corner of the Savoy Cinema. 44 years later, both buildings still remain. The Rifleman's has had an extension built on the side and is no longer run by the Stroud Brewery. The former cinema is now also a pub, still retaining the Savoy name. This 1950s view of Regent Street shows the store of F.W. Woolworth & Co. The clock of the jewellers James Walker shows 3 o'clock, and just a handful of cars are parked in the main street. The modern view is taken from a slightly different position, whilst the demolition of McIlroys continued. The original building and clock may have disappeared, but a timepiece still hangs in the same position in our 1999 view. A 1963 view of Regent Street looking north. To the left is the Anstis store. Our point of reference for the up-to-date view is the facade of Marks & Spencer's in the mid-distance. Today, many of the original shops have gone. The town's Brunel shopping centre now occupies much of this location. Here's another 1960s view of Regent Street. It shows some of the many pinnacles on the buildings, including those of the old classic cinema. As we move forward in time, some of those pinnacles can still be seen. At the time the picture was taken, McIlroys was still being demolished. The family-run shops, all now owned by major chains. Morses Limited was a familiar name in the town. Their store has long since gone, but the building remains and is still in use to this day. From the 1950s through to the 1990s. W.H. Smith occupy this building. The modern storefront provides a real contrast of time some 40 years later. Remembering the Swindon of yesteryear, with the help of the Swindon Society, a glimpse of Swindon through the years.